Louis, another pre-season doubleheader this week, obviously a little bit in closer proximity with the Thursday game at North Shields and then the Friday at Blyth Spartans. So, I mean, first things first, how are you looking ahead to those two fixtures in conjunction with each other?
Looking in real good shape. We're going to have a bit of a mixed teams across both games, with some first team players featuring in both. Some of our younger players from our under-19s programme also supplementing the numbers and giving an opportunity to have exposure to the first team environment and to play alongside our first team players, so we can identify and track their progress as early as pre-season for the upcoming season. There's no real issues on the injury front, so it's going to be a really good one to get the right physical load for our boys in build up to the second half of pre-season, which starts next week. But yeah, we're bouncing back from some real good games last week, and we've got some extra detail. The boys on the pitch worked a lot on our out of possession stuff this week, so really looking forward to getting that into action in the games.
Yeah, and you mentioned sort of younger lads, academy lads being potentially involved a little bit there as well. How important is it for their development being involved in kind of games like this with a few first team faces, not only just for them but also for you, like you say, as coach and staff, to get a bit more of a look at them in a more senior environment as such? Yeah,
it's really important. I think first of all, we want to give them opportunities. We want them to have exposure to the first team culture, the expectations, the standards, but also to play with the first team players as much as possible. It's up to them individually to earn that right in their performances for the under-19s and training and games, and when they get the call up with the first team. We don't have a reserve team set up at this club, so we have our first team squad, and we have to be looking for the next talent every season, and that starts obviously as early as it does this week. So the players will get the exposure and the opportunities. I think it's really important for them to play within the first team structure with first team players as well, so they get the best platform to show their skill set. So yeah, it's great opportunity for them. Like I said, we might not have the biggest strength and depth in compared to other teams in this league. We back ourselves in terms of the quality that we have in the first team, but when the competitions come thick and fast, whether it's Durham Challenge Cup, whether it's the FA Trophy, FA Cup alongside the leagues programme and any other games programmes that might be cropping up between now and the start of the season, we're going to need to lean on them younger players, hence why we want to incorporate them into our plans as early as pre-season. And give them the exposure so then we can track and monitor their progress. So it's I think it's a bit of a winner all round, and we're going to play against North Shields and Blyth, who are two really established senior teams with a lot of good players. Blyth have got a lot of players who have operated in full-time football as well as across all the divisions in kind of non-league and semi-pro, and we know that North Shields have got some very established players as well that have played a lot higher than Step 5, so it's going to be a great test on all fronts.
Yeah, and with those two games coming in terms of the second week of pre-season in a match action sense for you, how are you looking at those games and what are you looking to get out from them maybe compared to last week's games?
There's a specific physical load that we want to get out of the games. So over the last week, we've obviously had two fixtures, and we've been very particular in the minutes that we wanted in each game. That's pretty much shared the minutes amongst all the players across the two 90s. We're aware that a couple of players got extra than 45 against Sunderland, but we want to now creep it up so that all the players are starting to get closer to 60, 70 minutes, which is why the two games being back-to-back really benefits our training programme and our progressive load. So that is one of the main kind of outcomes from the games. Also as well, we've been in the building now 3 weeks, and we've been able to go right across our game model. We've went into depth in our philosophy and our attacking and defensive principles, especially the last 2 weeks, with having a focus in possession last week and an out of possession focus this week. So being able to nail down the detail on both sides with an introduction to our principles in the first week, we want to then see that return on the pitch in terms of our pressing shape, our pressing triggers, the decision making, when to set traps, when to jump on the trap, or when to hold our shape and protect the middle, and then obviously our principles defending the box and defending crosses as well. So yeah, there's going to be a lot for us, which is going to be individual and unit work.
Yeah, and how do you feel like things are going in terms of implementing those sort of patterns, styles of play, processes, everything like that at the moment with not only the newer lads but the lads who have been here previously? Because I imagine it's not a carbon copy of last season, and that obviously with Sweens coming on the coaching staff as well, there'll be new elements that you're trying to introduce at the moment. Yeah,
it's a challenge, but it's an exciting challenge in the fact that you've got your principals, you've got Sweens that's come in and add so much already to the coaching team, alongside Jake, who's coming on the sports science. So collaboratively working alongside me and Rob and Josh and Fraser from last season and Luke, it's a collaborative effort to keep evolving. So we had a review at end of last season. Part of the process of Sweens coming in and Jake coming in as well was to identify where we were strong and where we had clarity in our principles and our concepts, but where could we then evolve, because if you don't move forward and stand still, people are going to catch you up or take you over. So ultimately we have to keep getting better and strive to get better each and every day. So it's been a good challenge in the sense from a coaching team that we've got players that were really familiar with our concepts and our styles from last year, reinforcing their messages, but then adding extra layers to that, evolving them ones, as well as having players coming in new and complementing that. And one of the challenges that we've sent to the senior boys is they need to push their own game and get better 1% every day they come in as a minimum, but also they've got to help support the development of the newer players that come in as well and provide that leadership and them kind of mentor positions to allow them to get acclimatised with our expectations as soon as possible. So it's a great challenge on all fronts, and I think our group and our culture really lends itself to each individual taking responsibility and ownership and trying to get the most out of themselves, but also next to their teammate next to them, or the player that's come in who's 3-4 years younger than them and competing in the same position. That it's always a collaborative approach, and we want everyone to get better and work together. So yeah, it's been good, and we're looking forward to seeing that coming out further in the next couple of games and then into the next few weeks over the rest of the pre-season. Yeah, and I think I did ask you this last week or the week before, I think, but I have seen a couple of people mention it as well. Obviously you mentioned splitting squads Thursday and Friday. Are you still out of the squad in terms of that and sticking on the coaching side, or are you tempted to try and get some minutes in your own legs at the moment? Very tempted to get minutes, but me, Fraser, Rob have decided that it's best to stay on the coaching side one more week, specifically just to provide that, that foundation of clear messages, and that we can give the boys the best love and support and guidance over these first couple of weeks of pre-season, because that's going to be the foundation of our work right across the rest of the season. So I'll be looking to kind of up my minutes probably next week. Obviously the nature of the injury being a stress fracture is it comes from a cumulative sort of load and pressure through the foot itself, so it's getting the right balance. So in my opinion, it's worked hand in hand that I can do the coaching, but also not jump in too early on the training for my foot, so that gets the best rehab. So when I'm back, I'm 100% back, and there's no kind of step back from that. But like I say, as much as I've wanted to have minutes in the last couple of games, it's been great to really work deeper and delve into the detail even more with the guys, which sometimes comes from kind of sacrificing myself and just kind of working with the group from a coaching point of view.